Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're tuning in from. Welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon, a retired New York City police detective with 20 plus years of law enforcement. And if you like all things true crime related from a police perspective, please hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, so you will get all things DutyRon when I go live or upload another video. Tonight, we're going to talk about the Barry Morphew preliminary hearing that was held today in Colorado. There was limited press coverage from the location, no live cameras available in the courtroom. I have tonight criminal defense attorney Joe Murray, a fan favorite, who is going to come on and explain in layman's terms the preliminary hearing. We're going to go over that in a few minutes. I want to just first say a special thank you to all my Patreon supporters, the channel members, and all the folks who positively interact in all of these live streams. You're an instrumental part of this community growing and doing the right thing. I want to say also thank you to the replay viewers and all of my moderators. You guys are such a great relief to me. You guys take some of the heavy lifting off of me, and I greatly appreciate you guys, because without the mods, I don't think I could do it. So thank you to everyone who subscribes and positively interacts. Thank you, Dawn Marie. Hello, Bren D. Hello, Joey Brooklyn. Life is a gem. Wolf Girl, great to see you. Yelfik, thank you so much. Enlighten One, Kathy, Doreen, everyone's checking in. It's great to see you guys. A lot of information to process here today, a lot of stuff. So I'm going to get right into it. I'm going to play a little piece of media for you guys. Make sure you share it out onto your social media platform. It's going to be a very informative live stream. Joe Murray is going to break down what a preliminary hearing is, what the purpose is of it, what was covered today. And we still have, don't forget, tomorrow is day 2. Lauren Scharf, I reached out to her. She's very busy. She wasn't able to come with us live tonight, but I'm going to be showing a lot of her media and a lot of things that she did. So if you guys please hang out, watch a little bit of this media. It's going to give you a little bit of a preview of what happened today, and then we'll bring Joe Murray right on. So here we go, folks.
During the initial video showing an important moment during the initial days of the search for Suzanne Morphew, the missing wife and mother of 2 in Chaffee County, was shown in court today.
Suzanne's husband, Barry Morphew, is charged with her murder today. He appeared in court for day 1 in his preliminary hearing. Suzanne was reported missing on Mother's Day of 2020 after she allegedly went on a bike ride and never returned.
Fox 21's Lauren Scharf was in the courtroom. So tell us, Lauren, what did that body camera video actually show?
The first video showed deputies finding Suzanne Morphew's bike the day she was reported missing. Also, a video of Barry Morphew returning home from a work trip. He was upset and asking if she had crashed. An investigator who took the stand testified there were no signs of a struggle, no evidence of a possible accident, and no blood where the bike was recovered. We also learned that her bike helmet was found days later, a few miles away off of Highway 50. Barry had mentioned to investigators on the body cam video that Suzanne just recently got into mountain biking. Deputies asked Barry and his friend George Davis to not touch the bike. Text messages between Suzanne and her best friend indicated that at least one of the daughters was aware of the issues in their marriage. Most of the time in court today was spent talking about an extramarital affair Suzanne had with a former high school friend. Jeff Libler and Suzanne met up multiple times in other states, sent love messages, and before she disappeared, Suzanne had told him that they were soulmates and she wanted to get married to him. The defense ended the day asking an investigator about Ecuador, a trip that the Suzanne and her lover wanted to go together. The Morphew daughters were visibly upset in the courtroom. They cried multiple times. They also mouthed the words, "I love you" and "I miss you" to their father. Court will resume at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. There is no cameras allowed in the courtroom, so follow my Twitter account for live updates. Reporting live outside the Chaffee County Courthouse, Lauren Scharf for Fox.
Yeah, so that was pretty telling right there. Lauren Scharf, our good friend, reporting from outside the courthouse. a lot of information. Listen, I got to say this quick off the bat. I did a video today. I talked about this new allegation of infidelity. Again, let me just be clear that in no way, shape, or form justifies homicide. Just because there is a problem in a marriage and there's no, she's not here to defend herself, and there's no pointing fingers, at least from anybody here on the DutyRon Crime Time channel. Suzanne Morphew is a victim. She was allegedly murdered by her husband, Barry Morphew. He stands charged innocent until proven guilty, charged with first-degree murder and disposal of human of remains, and a slew of other charges that Joe Murray is going to speak about. I'm going to play another quick video that is from a affiliate over there down on the ground. I want you guys to hear. There's always a couple of different news reports, and I want you guys to hear all the different reporting. This is just really quick, so I want you guys to listen to this, and then we'll bring Joe Murray right on with you guys. I'm just waiting for this to load. I don't know why it's not loading. Oh, here we go. All right, we got it rocking and rolling. Let me show this quick. Don't worry, we'll get the sound on.
Year after she disappeared, more than a year after she disappeared, Suzanne Morphew's husband Barry will be in court here in Salida again tomorrow. We still know very little about what led investigators to arrest Barry and what evidence they have that connects him with her death. Back in May, the Chaffee County Sheriff and District Attorney announced Barry was arrested near his home in Poncha Springs. That came after nearly a year of searching for Suzanne, with few details released to the public. That was the last time we saw Barry, dressed in a jumpsuit and wearing handcuffs and shackles. He said few words in his first court appearance in May. As he faces murder charges, we still know very little about what evidence investigators have that led deputies to arrest him. Soon after Suzanne's disappearance, Barry released a video pleading for her safe return. Now he's charged with her death.
Oh, Suzanne, if anyone is out there.
Documents pertaining to the case have been sealed. When investigators last spoke publicly about the case, they said Suzanne's body was still missing. For more than a year, law enforcement officers and private parties have searched through the mountains in Chaffee County and around the Morphew family home for the missing mother. Little information has been released about what's been found. Barry is now charged with first-degree murder and tampering with a human body, among other charges. Investigators have said they feel confident that evidence will point to his guilt, even though they haven't told the public what they know. And while a handful of journalists will be allowed inside the courtroom here tomorrow and Tuesday, the court proceedings will not be live streamed online. A judge also ordered the journalists will not be able to record or photograph the hearings.
So there we have it from Chaffee County. That was an earlier report from this morning. I wanted you to hear both of those, and then we're going to go over to Lauren Sharp's Twitter account. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce my next guest. He's a retired New York City police officer. He is a criminal defense attorney. He is a friend of Crime Time with DutyRon. Joe Murray, it's a pleasure to have you. You got to unmute. There you go. You're a pro, Joe. I don't even have to say it.
Good to see you, Ron.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for taking out the time. And thank you to Ange for allowing you to come and give us some of your professional expertise in regards to this. Joe, you and I got a chance to talk briefly about this. You've been busy in and out of court all day today, but this was, again, for most of us, you and I have spoken with Suzanne Morphew's stepbrother, Tommy. We covered this case. We had not any of this information that has come out. What was your take on the preliminary? And then I want you to explain to the audience what a preliminary hearing is, what the purpose of it is, and what you saw from today.
Sure, and thanks for having me on. And I do apologize. I'm ordinarily usually much more prepared, but I was so encumbered today. I only got a brief look at what the testimony was. Essentially, a preliminary hearing is a test on the government. You know, when the government takes you into custody with these very serious felony charges, you have the right to question the government to at least establish probable cause. As you know, the standard to make an arrest is probable cause. You can't take someone into custody without establishing or articulating probable cause that a crime was committed. So this is really like a check that the defendant can request, and usually they have to request it right away. I was looking at Colorado law. They must request this immediately. And then they have to grant the hearing within a reasonable time period. I think it's 30, 35 days the courts have set as what's reasonable. So essentially what it is, and I just looked at one of the cases, it says the prosecution presents evidence sufficient to induce a person of ordinary prudence and caution to entertain reasonable belief that the defendant committed the crime charged. And I like that standard because it essentially is the reasonable person standard. If I'm going to present this evidence to you as a reasonable person, you have to perceive it in a light favorable to the prosecution, because you're not really weighing credibility of witnesses. You're going to hear this testimony, and sometimes it's hearsay testimony, but you're going to hear, and what you need to do is connect the dots. Did they satisfy the elements of the crime charge? Is it a reasonable belief that he committed this crime? Certainly not beyond a reasonable doubt. It's not a very high burden. As you know, probable cause is a very low burden. Doesn't mean he's guilty. It just means you're allowed to go forward with your case.
And there you have it, Joe. Very well put together there. Listen, this is something that most people don't have an idea of what the preliminary hearing is. And, again, thank you for explaining that in layman's, because people get a better understanding than getting legal mumbo jumbo. Some people in the chat are asking, without a body, it's a much harder case to prove. Can you talk just briefly before we dive into Lauren Scharf's tweets from the day? What's some of the burdens of proof that the prosecution have to show, as from a defense attorney's side? How much more difficult does that make the case?
It's enormously difficult, because you have to prove, first of all, that she is dead. Again, you don't have to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, not at this phase of the proceedings, but you have to prove that she's already deceased. You can't have a murder case without a dead body. So you have the burden of showing that. But again, it's probable cause. It's a low standard. And they'll have to offer that through evidence, the collection of forensic evidence, could be witnesses. But that is a high burden. I mean, it's a hard thing to prove. You're proving like the negative. She's not here. You have to prove that she's deceased. She could be anywhere. She could have run away. She, as it came out in the testimony today, she had this affair going on. So I'm sure the defense is going to exploit that and push them to their limit. But let me just say this about this preliminary hearing. It's a brilliant request to do in a case like this, because early on in the proceedings, you're now getting your first look at the prosecution's evidence. And it's an important look, because depending on who testifies, you're locking them into a story. You're locking them into their statements. I did this, excuse me, I did XYZ on this day and that day and the next day. That's it. They deviate from that in the future. There's where you start building reasonable doubt. So I think it was a brilliant move by the defense to go ahead with this. You get certain discovery. Anything they're going to introduce at the hearing, they have to turn over. So you get early discovery, and then you also get the opportunity to cross-examine them. And it's so important as a defense attorney, when you're weighing the merits of your case, to get a look at who the principal witnesses could be in your case. It's important to understand that the prosecution does not have to reveal all their cards. They don't have to bring in every witness. Because they have such a low burden, they usually don't. And but they're going to bring some witnesses, and you're going to get some information. So as a defense attorney, learning about your case and actually learning about the prosecutor's case, it's a wonderful opportunity to do so. And then these transcripts will be invaluable going forward.
Now, Joe, thank you for that. We saw the two defense attorneys representing Barry Morphew come in with suitcases full of discovery. will in the day one and day two, we've already seen day one, and day one really covered the infidelity part of this, the discovery, if you will. Are they going to go through a majority of the discovery, or is the defense going to pick out the juicy parts? Who controls this proceeding, or is it a 50-50 prosecution and the defense?
The burden is on the prosecution to establish, it's like their prima facie case, their probable cause. So it's their burden. The defendant has no burden whatsoever. This is an opportunity for the defendant, if the prosecution's case is weak, to attack it at this presentation of the preliminary hearing, because they're getting this early. You're getting this early on. You're getting the witnesses early, and they can introduce evidence as well. It's generally not meant to be a mini trial before the trial. It's really only to test the probable cause. So you're not going to see a full-blown trial here. It's just not going to happen. But there may be some important cross-examination and confrontation with certain evidence.
Now, will the judge make the decision of, like, is this in lieu of a grand jury to get an indictment? This preliminary is, I'm just asking because I already know the answer, but I want you to let the audience know. Is
Sure.
the preliminary hearing in lieu of a grand jury as we know it here in New York and across the country? And if so, who makes the decision that they have enough to now go forward to this trial?
This is going to be the judge's call. The judge is the fact finder. He'll make that decision whether or not there was enough to go forward or it should be dismissed. Generally, a grand jury serves the same function. So if there was an indictment that already took place, a grand jury indictment, it would negate the whole effect of having a preliminary hearing, because that's what you're doing. A grand jury hears evidence and makes a determination on whether or not, as I read to you that standard, a person of ordinary prudence and caution to entertain a reasonable belief that the defendant is guilty of that charge or has committed that offense. That's something a grand jury would be determining. So either way, you have a probable cause standard set. But in this case, in a preliminary hearing, it will be the judge who makes that determination.
Excellent. Thank you for that, because I know there was a lot of people who were asking me questions about it that were confused in regards to that. So I appreciate you clearing that up. And before we deep dive into this, I sent you a message about an Alfred plea, right? Sorry, I was lost for words. Alfred plea, and we talked about that. Does that come into play here? I mean, some people have asked about it. I'm just asking you because you are the expert. What's your thoughts on the Alfred plea?
Thank you, but I'm not. I shouldn't even be talking about Colorado law. I'm not admitted to practice there, but I can tell you as an overview commentary as to what I see in their law. An Alfred plea is essentially accepting a plea without admitting guilt to the underlying offense. It's almost like a no contest plea. You're saying, okay, fine. And people do it for various reasons. I had a case where a guy was extradited from Chicago to come here. We got the charges knocked down to, I think it was like a D felony or E felony. And I was able to pressure the prosecution to offer a misdemeanor. And because their complainants there was something infirm about the complainants. So I requested an Alfred plea. We didn't want to admit to anything they did, but just for the sake of the massive amount of legal fees and expense it would cost him to have to be here, he'd be in a hotel going through this whole procedure, he would have accepted it on that basis. So there are reasons why people will do it, but prosecutors don't like to offer that.
Right. Especially if you have a strong case. And it looks like they have strong circumstantial evidence, strong electronic evidence. I think a bulk of this, and this is just my personal opinion, a bulk of this case is going to be proven by electronic devices and communication back and forth. And, again, this may or may not be true, but I think that they have a strong case in regards to Barry because he might have had loose lips and it sunk his ship. I want to ask you quickly, because people always ask me this, and this has been since these two crack attorneys took over this case. If there was infidelity shown on Barry's half, which we're seeing today in this preliminary that he was not committing adultery, but she in fact was. If it was let's just say if it was the reverse way, where the way we thought that Barry was with the redhead that he was seen with, out whining and dining this woman while his wife was missing, would it make this case more difficult to defend if that was the case, and vice versa? Now that we know Suzanne has been, allegedly having this affair with her high school friend Jeff Lieberler, or whatever his last name is. Lieberler. Does this make it more difficult for the prosecution, or is this just part of a criminal defense attorney bringing up what's there in front of them, and it's there for the taking?
Yeah, it's a little confusing because obviously if she's having an affair on him and he's one of those jealous type of people, it would create a motive for him to, retaliate because of that. So I can see where it would be significant there if he was having an affair. And I just want to point out, it wasn't established that he was not having an affair. It just was not brought forth, I think, evidence of it. And largely because she's not here to present that evidence,
Right.
who would probably know the most about it. So, but I don't think that's such a significant issue in this case right now. Whether or not he's having an affair, she has an affair. I think it's actually not a good move when you're, muddying up the victim. It's not helpful for you.
It's not a good look, I would say, right?
Yeah.
It's not a good look. I mean, listen, she's not here to defend herself or to talk about what went on. She's not here to say why she was turned to have a relationship with somebody. She's the victim here, and we got to keep that into the forefront. And I feel that this is not going to, in any way, shape, or form, hurt the prosecution's case.
Well, I wouldn't go that far because it could potentially be that maybe they introduce or imply some other lover, jealous lover, took action against her.
Right.
So
and we're going to get into
see
this.
some relevance.
We're going to get into this as we see Lauren's tweets. I'm going to go into that right now. There was some blood recovered from inside her car, or some kind of DNA on the glove box, and it was not Barry's. It was just another male, as they describe it. But this is going to be, these are a lot of tweets, but I want you to look at them with me. I'm going to put them up full screen so people can see it. In the audience, I want you to just let me know if you guys can read these tweets. So, Joe, I'm going to take you off and myself off. I'm going to go full screen with these tweets. Let me know in the chat if you could see this. If you want me to make it bigger, I can make it bigger. Is this readable for everybody? I hope it is. Okay. I think it's pretty good, right?
It's a little too tight because it's cutting off right there.
All right.
Perfect.
All right, good. Let me go a little bit more. Hold on. I like to get it right full. All right. I can read. Everyone can read. Just put a 1 in the chat if you could read. Thank you, Jolene. Thank you, Crazy Diamond. Thank you, Wendy. All right, everybody could see it. All right, let's start off with Joe. Again, let's start off with Barry Morphew's mom and daughters are in the courtroom. Barry Morphew has been seated and is wearing a suit and tie. 6 attorneys have been seated for the state. 6 attorneys for the state. Is that common?
Well, this is a very difficult case, so I don't think it's that uncommon in a case of this magnitude. Particularly, it's a no-body homicide, and so I'm not shocked by that.
Okay, all right. So that's and as we saw earlier, I showed you his 2 attorneys walked in with an assistant, 2 big rolling suitcase type, travel suitcases full of discovery, I would imagine, right, Joe?
Sure.
And they have all their files ready for court. Barry Morphew's attorney wanted to make opening statements, 1 minute, but the judge denied. Can you comment about that?
Yeah, I certainly understand the judge. It's not any evidence. The the opening statements. It's just the lawyers talking, and the judge. That's good for juries. Juries love to hear from the attorneys who marshal the evidence and present it, but a judge can see through that. So the judge said, no, you don't need that window dressing. I can see for myself what the evidence is. Right. I think it was appropriate. And I just want to point out, too, the prior order that the judge issued allowing the family and precluding the WebEx TV, I agree with it. I really do, because some of the evidence that may come out during this proceeding, non-evidentiary form, like hearsay evidence, which wouldn't be allowed in the trial, is most likely going to be listened to by a lot of people. This is a very high-profile case, and I'm always leery about the defendant's rights when they're broadcasting evidence that would not be admitted in trial. You're kind of poisoning the jury pool to a degree. We all are operating under the belief that people will be honest during jury voir dire, when you're selecting a jury and asked if they've heard this or heard that or followed the coverage. They'll say yes or no, and you can make a cause challenge for that. But I'm always leery about the public learning information that a jury would never hear. And I'm glad the judge did what he did.
Thank you for that, Joe. Love Wins says, is Joe Murray Joey Brooklyn? I'm confused. No, Joe Murray is Joe Murray, and Joey Brooklyn is my main moderator. He's the chief and head of security here. All right, let's go back full screen. First witnesses, Commander Alex Walker is taking the stand. He works for the Chaffee County Sheriff's Office. He has worked for the 11th Judicial District as well. DA Linda Stanley is asking questions about his history. Preliminary hearings, hashtag. Let's move right up. Yeah,
that's appropriate. You're introducing the witness. You're talking about his career and credentials and background. So that's appropriate.
So he's the responding officer to the 911 call, I believe. Commander Walker says Mallory Morphew, that's Barry Morphew's daughter, couldn't get a hold of her mom, Suzanne. She was trying to wish her a happy Mother's Day. Don't forget, she was reported missing by the neighbor because the daughters couldn't get a hold of her. She wanted to wish her a happy Mother's Day, but the texts were not going through. So she reached out to the neighbor. Deputy Brown found the bicycle shortly after getting notified of Suzanne's missing. He immediately put on his body-worn camera when he got to Highway 50 and County Road 225, noted no blood, no skid marks, no brake marks, no struggle, no damage to the bicycle. Again, significant piece of evidence that will be presented at trial. As we know, they go chronologically. They start from the beginning and work their way back. There'll be many witnesses and many from law enforcement community, investigators, search warrants, and the like. I'm going to try to move quickly. Do you have anything about this, Joe? This is just routine,
no.
right?
I just love that they're playing these body-worn cameras. That's good. I like that at a preliminary hearing.
And her next tweet, and Lauren Scharf, thank you for giving us a play-by-play, blow-by-blow. She says, we are about to watch the video of body cam worn video when the deputies found Suzanne's bicycle. Suzanne and Barry's daughters are holding hands and crying inside the courtroom as they watch the video of when deputies first discover the bicycle. That's heart-wrenching. You don't want to, like for me, I have kids. We all have kids, grandkids, nieces, nephews, things of that nature. It's just horrific, horrific. That's a little bit of emotion. Deputy then asks for someone to contact the hospital. The deputy then moves the bike off the hillside and lays the bike back down. Deputies are chatting on video about how close the bike is to the house. They are also talking about scenarios as to what might have happened to Suzanne Morphew.
I just want to comment about that real quick. This is the beauty.
Let me just finish this next one.
Okay. Yeah.
The deputy at that point starts yelling for Suzanne in the video as they approach the bike. So he's yelling out her name. The bike's front wheel is facing down the side of the hill. The deputy asks for Barry to be called to describe the bike. Go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry about that.
No, that's fine. This is the body-worn camera. I mean, there's two real ways of looking at it. a lot of police officers know they have this body-worn camera on it, and sometimes they will posture because they know what they're saying is being recorded. Other times, it's impromptu and it captures, their thought process, especially when they're speaking amongst each other. So you have to weigh that evidence and try to decipher which one it is. Are they saying what they're saying because they know it's being recorded? Or are you really capturing their thinking out loud about what they see and what they're going to do?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And this paints a really good picture. And this next tweet that Lauren puts out is, I'm going to leave you on screen for this. I'm going to read it and edit because I want everyone to see your reaction to this. Okay. The Navy bike. The bike is navy with light blue pedals. Something is up with the front tire, the deputy says. The deputy brought the tire back to the country road without gloves. What's your take on that?
Gee, any type of evidence like that, you shouldn't be touching that, barehanded like that. That's a no-no. As you know, anytime you're dealing with evidence, especially in a missing person, you should really handle it with care. I'm a little surprised by that.
And I remember Barry Morphew made statements about this, and I'm sure he was instructed by a counsel. He made statements about that. He said that they mishandled the evidence. And I'm sure his attorneys are going to home in on that aspect right there. That aspect is possible tainting of fingerprints and any type of any discovery from, the crime scene folks.
And it's not just inculpatory evidence. It's exculpatory evidence that maybe the defense will raise the issue that maybe the actual true attacker left prints that were now corroded by this taint of the officer touching it.
This gives the prosecution a little bit of something to bite at. Miles, let me go full screen so everybody could see it. Miles and his father describe places where Suzanne goes biking as well, and as what she typically wears. The deputy asks Miles what Barry and Suzanne's relationship was like. They've had some problems in the past. They've talked about separating. I've known this through Macy. So that's an interview with an individual by the law enforcement on the scene. Miles explains he's one of the daughter's boyfriends. He noticed that Suzanne's car was home, but the bike was gone. He told deputies that Suzanne typically brings her car with her when she goes mountain biking, and she recently got into mountain biking. This was all on body cam footage. So it's Miles is one of the daughter's boyfriends. Suzanne's phone was last pinged at 4:23 a.m. on May 10th, the morning of Mother's Day, on the Poncha Springs tour. Miles Harvey was coming out of the garage when deputies arrived to the Morphew home. Walker said Barry Morphew and George Davis had been touching the bike as well. He confirmed that Suzanne's bike helmet was found a few days later. This is all stuff that we know about. We've all spoken about this hundreds of times. The deputy asks what paths Suzanne would take. Now, the deputy is asking that so they can go and search those paths. He asks if she was an avid mountain biker. The deputy describes how the bike was found, and Barry responded, "It may have flipped." The deputy asked people not to touch the bike with their hands. Interesting, Joe. What do you make of that one?
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that they're, asking them not to touch the bike with their hands, even after they did.
They did. Yeah.
So they acknowledge it. But, I got to say, though, that the tragedy of this whole thing, this woman beat cancer a couple of times, right? And then she's out there, she's biking, she's trying to live a good life and, healthy. And I'm sure I've never had cancer, but I know, we all know people with cancer, and it just becomes a whole lifestyle change, with your family, your kids, your loved ones, to fight it and combat it. And it looked like that's, sadly, that's what she was doing. And to have to worry about all this now, the strife with her husband. And
Yeah, I'm hoping, Joe, that they have strong evidence that will not make this an issue. These could be
Yeah.
small things that could be disputed as, evidence not handled properly. But if in fact that bike was placed there by somebody to stage this event, then I don't think this is going to be an issue. Body cam video of Barry Morphew getting to the scene around 8:46 p.m. He gets out of his truck and asks, "Where was the bike?" He then asked, "Was there a crash?" Question mark. The helmet was not damaged. It was found south on Highway 50, 10 meters from the road. Inside the helmet was a piece of paper with her name, number, and family contact information. Like, she could have had that in there just in case she got lost. That's part of maybe the safety protocols on mountain biking and things of that nature. A picture of Suzanne. Yes, a picture of Suzanne wearing a light blue helmet and matching jacket with a camelback and sunglasses is shown on screen. She is on Methodist Mountain. The bike helmet was found 8.4 miles from the bike on May 15th, so 5 days later. And this is all Lauren Scharf giving play-by-play of what we're describing is what happened in the preliminary hearing. As it happened, I've started back from the beginning, and this is exactly what took place in the court. Morphew also told Walker that the RV park near the house was a suspicious location to be checked. It was a suspicious location to be checked. He also mentions a mountain lion. This mountain lion theory was debunked by Mike King of Profiling Evil. He brought on mountain lion experts who stated that this scenario is highly unlikely and that scattered remains would be recovered because they don't consume the entire body. And I hate to go into that graphic detail, but it was debunked by Profiling Evil, Mike King, some time ago with the mountain lion experts that he had on his show. And thank you for doing that, Mike. During an interview with Morphew, Walker said Barry mentioned Suzanne was biking regularly, but was new at it. Walker said that Barry Morphew mentioned his worst scare was someone picking her up during a 30-minute conversation with him. I mean, again, this is sounding so familiar. We look at the Summer Wells case that we're all talking about. We're all invested in it. Her father, Don Wells, talks about the abduction theory. Trezell and Jacqueline West, Joe Murray in Bakersfield and in California City, talks about an abduction, that someone picked up their two children and snatched them. We hear this all too often in these cases. And again, to me, it all stinks to high heavens. Suzanne's camelback was found in Suzanne's car. Sunglasses were found in Indiana inside the Range Rover. This is all coming from the preliminary hearing. 10 plus agencies were involved with searching initially for Suzanne Morphew. The searches are ongoing to this day, Walker said. That's looking to recover her remains. Barry mentioned to investigators that Suzanne was his angel, parentheses, described as a wonderful person, very good relationship, and loved her to death. Wow. What a statement right there.
Yeah.
What does that do for you as a criminal defense attorney?
A lot of red flags with that,
Ooh. Throw the red flags everywhere. If this was a football game, I'd be throwing the red flag, even though they don't use red. But yeah, that's yikes. Nielsen, who is, let me get this back on. Nielsen, who is Barry Morphew's defense attorney, said that it is not unusual if Suzanne would text back. It said that it is not unusual if Suzanne wouldn't text back because the cell service is bad at the house. This is after Barry had texted Suzanne Happy Mother's Day in the morning. So we found out that Barry texted Suzanne Happy Mother's Day in the morning. Walker was at the scene when deputies found the bike. He witnessed the deputies move the bike immediately. She is asking if there were a lot of people on the dirt road of County Road 225 and asked if it was taped off. It was not taped off. And yes, there were a lot of people on that road. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what the timeline is here at that point. I mean, right now it's a missing person. I don't know if it's a full-blown crime scene yet, but certainly you want to do it as quickly as possible to preserve any evidence.
Right. Again, I look at that and I just say, this is interesting. The defense is bringing it up. That's part of their job, and I think
Right.
you would agree with that.
Sure.
Nielsen, who is Barry Morphew's defense attorney, is now cross-examining Walker. She asks if he authorized the arrest affidavit, the 129 pages. It took him weeks to write it. She asks when he started writing the affidavit, but doesn't know when he started. So she asked him when he started writing. He doesn't know when he started. And then she goes on to ask another question. No blood of Suzanne was found in the Morphew home. So I guess that question, it really doesn't give us what happened there.
Well, I'm a little skeptical that he wrote this 129-page affidavit himself without consulting the prosecutors. I mean, just from an NYPD, even a search warrant affidavit is actually written by the district attorney because they want to make sure it's legally sufficient, that it contains the requisite elements of proof. So I don't know where she was going with that questioning, but I think it might be whether or not he actually authored it, or did he get assistance from the prosecutors?
Yeah. I mean, who knows? I guess we'll find out maybe in day 2, or maybe we won't find out. Love wins, long-winded writer, ? Passive verbs with extraneous words. DutyRon ? This is not me writing. This is a news reporter, and she's writing what she's hearing in the courtroom. So this is the best that we can get. So I'm appreciative of it, no matter how it's worded. I don't give a.
I do too. I think it was wonderful that you did it.
Yeah, because we're not having access to it. So this is the most direct access. No blood of Suzanne, this is important, was found. No blood of Suzanne Morphew was found in the Morphew home. Investigators did not find any blood throughout this investigation, according to Walker.
I think that's important because I was thinking when they decided to charge the murder that they, at least if they didn't find the body, they found some type of means of disposal, or with DNA or some type of blood evidence, but apparently not.
Yeah, Joe, I was surprised of it. Again, I thought for sure we would hear something about blood or remains on tools or some of his heavy equipment. Example, wood chipper, landscaping, anything to move ground with, sawzall, anything. My mind was thinking, and now with this statement, no blood of Suzanne was found in the Morphew home. Investigators did not find any blood throughout this investigation. Now, if they just said no blood was found inside the home, I would be okay with that, because then that would indicate maybe they found something outside. But this says they did not find any blood throughout this investigation. Did they mean the investigation inside the home?
That's possible. We're just, getting the shorthand version of what she's hearing in the testimony. It is possible that maybe that was limited to the home. Right.
And I hope that is the case. I hope that they have a little bit more than this. And we will hear more. There's day 2 tomorrow, and I don't know if there'll be a day 3. Let's put it back. All right. Mallory's friend Holly went on the road trip with the 2 daughters the weekend of Mother's Day. They typically stay the night in the same bed at the Morphew house. That's Mallory's friend Holly. Mallory is one of the 2 daughters. So that was brought up right after the no blood. I find that odd the way this is going, but who knows? Mallory's bed sheets were stripped in the Morphew house. Nielsen, which is the defense attorney, said that Barry Morphew would mention that Suzanne would clean the house before guests would arrive. And that's typical of any clean. I mean, my wife, we're having company. She's cleaning the crap out of the house. Everything is spit shined and polished. So there's nothing odd about that. Barry Morphew mentioned to investigators that he had never been involved in one. He hopes it does not stop in regards to searching for Suzanne Morphew, Walker said. It does not stop. Now, I'm confused with this. Let me reread this. Maybe, Joe, you could read this, and maybe I read that wrong. Barry Morphew mentioned to investigators that he had never been involved in one. Is this a relationship, or he hopes it does not stop in regards to searching for? I don't know. Can you
I
make
think
some?
it's the search, the actual search for her body. I think that he's referring to. I hope it doesn't stop.
And that he's never been involved in a search. I mean,
Right.
we know that we've never seen him out searching. The only time we've seen him out is when Andy Mormon went out there to search with all of his folks from Indiana, and he had the shotgun strapped over his shoulder and saying, "Don't come onto my private property." Walker also says a lot of agencies came together to find a lady. A lot of resources have been expended, and we are not going to stop. Over 70 law enforcement officers, so many analysts, scientists. Walker added, it's the largest coordinated effort he has ever been involved in. So this is in regards to the searching for Suzanne Morphew.
Right. Massive search.
He's just saying about how massive it is, and it's something that he's never been involved in. Nielsen, who is the defense attorney, is now speaking about searches from aircraft, drones, grid searches, canines, mines, ground penetrating radar, and we've talked about this a lot with EquiSearch, water teams, but Suzanne is still not found. Hundreds of people have searched for Suzanne. Joe, I got to ask you, what's behind the defense attorney mentioning this? I kind of have a feeling what it's about, but I'd like to hear it from you.
Yeah, no, I look at this, the way that she's trying to highlight that all of these extraordinary measures were taken for a search and it produced no results. I think, in my opinion, looking at this evidence, I construe that in a light favorable to the prosecution. I mean, if it was an animal attack, you'd find something. If it was, an accident, you'd find her. She's not there, which means somebody has, secreted her away somewhere where she's not to be found or detected. And that, to me, points to a homicide.
Yeah. And folks in the chat are saying, thank God, and we appreciate Lauren Shaw for giving us this play-by-play. This is a look as close as a transcript of what happened inside this courtroom today. So I thank you, Lauren. And if you're listening, or if you watch the replay, you are aces. And I hope that we can get you on and talk, if she can give us just a tad bit of insight, it would be great. Again, I reached out to her and she didn't get back to me as of showtime. Let me go back. I want to finish this up before the hour's up because I can't afford your overtime rate. Lauren Sharf tweets, a video on Google Maps made by the defense team is shown of where the helmet was found. The state says that they haven't seen this and wished to see it in private before showing it to the courtroom. But the judge said, we don't have time. Josh, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for that $2 super chat. And I appreciate everybody positively interacting in the live. We're going to have a 5-minute Q&A at the end. So if you want to stick around and ask the attorney questions, Joe Murray. So the prosecution saying that they wish that the defense would have shared that with them. What's the legality of that? Does the defense have to, again, show what they have to the prosecution and vice versa?
They generally should. This is more like demonstrative evidence when they do this Google Maps and they're plotting, where the helmet was found, where she, the bike or whatever they're doing there. You should turn it over to the other side so they can verify that those are accurate pinpoints. But it's not actual physical evidence that they would have to turn over like a document or something made for this case. It's just demonstrative of, okay, let's look at a map. Here are the points. You just want to give the other side the opportunity to verify that you accurately plotted those points.
Right. So here we go. Lauren Scharf is talking about the helmet was found 10 meters down from Highway 50. We heard that earlier. Volunteers from the Chaffee County Sheriff's Office searched both sides of the highway 50 from County Road 225 to Monarch Mountain Lounge with line searches on Friday the 15th. Thank you, Ron Daniels, for the $20 super chat. Also, thank you, Boxing MMA, for your super chat all the way from Ireland. Thanks for being here, Joe. He's saying thank you to you. Let it be summer. Sends in 550 super sticker. Thank you so much for that support. Greatly appreciated. All right. So she's just talking about location. We went over that. He said we've searched 1 mile and 1/mile and 5/mile radius thoroughly. Searched a lot of square miles in a lot of areas. Just recently searched in a mine. So they're saying that they just recently searched in a mine. So these searches are continually going on, and it's, unbeknownst to us. They're not talking about it. They're just doing it. And that's what law enforcement does. They do stuff and they don't really like to talk about it because it's all, important to keep it quiet for the case, because if they do discover something, that's going to be a big deal, and it's going to have a lot of media and a lot of people going to want to come and gawk at a scene if and when they make a recovery. George Davis was invested in searching for Suzanne for weeks. He showed investigators maps. Nielsen, the defense attorney, asked, how thorough has the 1+ mile radius around the Morphew home been searched? Walker responds, there is still work that needs to be found. There is still work that needs to be found. Interesting. Okay, so George Davis is a searcher. I don't know if he works for the county or works for the police department or is a private contracted searcher. I should probably know that, but I don't. So don't crucify me, please, folks. I'm trying to give you this.
I think what's of note there is the search was a mile radius from the home, which, as all missing persons start where the person lives, search the house, and then you move outward. So at 1 mile, they were pretty thorough, and at 5 miles, that's a wide span of area. But he did indicate this was perhaps the largest search that he's been involved in.
Right. George is Barry's good friend, isn't he? Phoebe Beach is saying. Okay, so maybe perhaps he's a good friend of Barry's. I don't know. He's being subpoenaed and talking in court. So when you get involved in these cases, sometimes you get subpoenaed if you're doing searches, and that's how the cookie crumbles. That's how it goes. Joe can tell you all about that. I'm sure. You've subpoenaed many people who have gotten involved in cases that you worked on. Okay, the next tweet is the home was under investigation for 10 days the first time. On May 20th, the home was given back to the Morphews. Barry didn't get a chance to change clothes or get anything from the home. More than 110 search warrants were issued. The first search warrant was May 11th. It's the day after of the Morphew home, including vehicles. Hashtag find Suzanne. 110 search warrants, more than, were issued. That could be electronic devices. It could be for computers, electronic devices, iPads, tablets, phones, everything and anything. DVRs to cameras, and we're going to hear more about that. Andy Crayons, thank you for the super chat. Davis is a close friend of Bear. Okay, close friend. Gotcha. He's subpoenaed and he's on record. On July 10th, 18 law enforcement officers came back to the Morphew home, including 10 FBI agents. So 10 law enforcement locals, 10 FBI agents. Fair to say the search of the Morphew residence was very lengthy, thorough, and extensive. Answer, yes. Anything on that, Joe?
Yeah, I love it. I think, you have to dot your I's and cross your T's, and I'm sure that search was extensive and lengthy and very thorough. I think it's good to point that out.
Yes. Okay, so Stace on the case says they're volunteer fire department people together. Barry was a volunteer fireman over there. All right, defense attorney Nielsen says on July 9th, 28 law enforcement officers were involved in a second search of the home, including 14 additional FBI officers, 7 CBI, that's Colorado Bureau of Investigation agents, and approximately 6 Chaffee County deputies and you. I'm sure she's referring to this gentleman, the friend of Barry. On July 8th, investigators asked to speak with Barry at his home and they said they could bring pizza. Barry responded, "Don't bring food. We're grilling steaks. We can put 2 on for you." This is all in court, and I'm sure that these are all text messages that they're reading.
Yeah.
Any comments about that, Joe? And what is that?
Well, I think they're talking about the friendly nature, of Barry with,
Yeah.
these individuals. I don't know if he's going to allude to, somebody would intentionally overlook or hide evidence who was involved in this search. I don't.
Yeah, there was
I
a
don't
lot of
think-
conversation that Barry was very friendly with the locals, and there was a lot of people pointing fingers at the Chaffee County Sheriff and that he was in Barry's pocket. I didn't buy into any of that. Ultimately, Linda Stanley, came forward with these first-degree murder charges: tampering with a deceased human body, tampering with physical evidence, possession of a dangerous weapon, attempt to influence a public servant. Does this come into attempting to influence a public servant, offer him steaks? I don't think so. And then the voter fraud, to mention just a few. According to Walker, Barry didn't know about the spy pen, and it is voice activated. There was a lot of talk about that spy pen that's been leaked out, and Walker says Barry wasn't found having an affair. Suzanne was having an affair for 2 years. So this is Walker making the comments.
Yeah, I believe it was essentially the spy pen that outed her with the affair, and
Yes.
just because Barry and his affair wasn't mentioned doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Yeah. And then she goes on to say in court, this is not Lauren talking. This is just her repeating what she's hearing in court. Spy pen belonged to Suzanne Morphew. Sheila, that's her friend from Indiana. Sheila and her talked about getting her this spy pen. Suzanne Morphew had suspected Barry was having an affair. Okay. Lieber asked, that's the alleged person she was having an affair with, that's Jeff Lieber, asked law enforcement if he was a target in this investigation. A recording of an interview with Lieber with law enforcement is about to be heard. The defense attorney wants a lot of time with Walker. Judge is worried about timing. This is all like scheduling and moving this forward. Is that what that timing is about?
Sure, like I mentioned, this is not meant to be a trial within a trial. This is a probable cause hearing. And I think the judge is just like, wait a second, this is really to establish probable cause. I'm going to, give you latitude because of the seriousness of this offense, but we got to rein it in.
Sharon just said, hope Barry realizes he'll never smell the wonderful aroma of a steak on the barbecue again. Very good comment. Thank you, Sharon. Suzanne didn't tell anybody about this affair. Lieber did not come forward to law enforcement. Once law enforcement found him, he spoke to them. I told you about that earlier. A man named Jeff Lieber was Suzanne Morphew's lover. In November is when law enforcement found out about the affair. They met up a total of 6 times, twice in Indiana. Now they had a 10-minute break, and then she's chiming in. I know that Jeff Lieber went to high school with Suzanne in Alexandria, Indiana. I spoke to one of Suzanne Morphew's friends from high school. I won't mention her name, but she knows about Jeff Lieber. He's well known in Alexandria. And her words is, this is a bombshell, and it's going to shake and rock Alexandria, Indiana. And that's coming from somebody from the high school. Lauren Scharf 9 hours ago tweeted, Barry Morphew's sister just came up to me in the hallway and said, are you Lauren? She says, yes. You are instrumental. You're an instrumental part in destroying our family. She then walks away. Really? Come on, lady. Give me a break. I don't care who you are, but that's ballsy. This woman did nothing but fairly report on this case. Barry Morphew's sister comes up. I guess it was Melinda. I think that's her name. She came up to her and said, are you Lauren? Yes. You're instrumental. You're an instrumental part in destroying our family. How about your brother? How about him? What he did or what he stands accused of doing? Look, those who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. In my book, I might be getting ahead of myself, but that comment just to me was disgusting. Pictures of the garage are being shown at the Morphew home, May 12th. 2 dogs and a dog handler from El Paso County were used to search the house and vehicles. So they used dogs at the home on May 12th, 2 days after Suzanne Morphew was allegedly reported missing.
But
Yeah,
2 days after, but the house was secured, like nobody was there.
Secured. Yeah, it was secured and sealed. Nobody was there. Correct. So back on the record, Commander Andrew Walker is still on the stand, now speaking about Barry Morphew's truck. His truck was messy, both in the cab and the bed. A search warrant was issued on May 12th of 2020. Now, we know Barry was a hoarder. He kept a lot of stuff. There's pictures that people posted and that was on the news, and Lauren too had posted of Barry with a bunch of garbage and all kinds of hunting trophy prizes, antler racks, and all kinds of crap all over the back of his truck when they were moving from Indiana to Colorado. So he was one of those guys that kept a lot of crap. But so there, he's just confirming that his truck was messy in the cab and in the bed. Search warrant was issued. According to page 41 in the arrest affidavit, Walker wrote, Barry Morphew's Bobcat doesn't appear to be connected to Suzanne Morphew's disappearance. Now, that was a big thing, man. I heard so many conversations in so many fake book groups and Facebook groups and chat on the internet, chat in the YouTubes and Twitter and all over the place about this Bobcat. And here we are having it, according to page 41 in the arrest affidavit, Walker, law enforcement guy, says Barry Walker, I guess one of Commander Andrew Walker, wrote, Barry Morphew's Bobcat didn't appear to be connected to Suzanne Morphew's disappearance. Okay. On May 10th, from 2:47 a.m. to 5:30 a.m., Barry Morphew took steps in disposing of evidence, according to activity on cell phones and truck. Nielsen is referring to page 2 of the arrest affidavit. Wow. What do you
we
got
have
there?
access to that arrest affidavit?
I do. I do
Has
have
that
it.
been publicly disclosed?
I think that it's sealed. I mean, all of it was all marked, like blocked off. So we're not going to be able to.
redacted.
Yeah, it was all redacted. So again, this is all what's going on, what happened in court. So on May 10th from 2:47 to 5:30, Barry Morphew took steps in disposing of evidence according to activity on cell phones. They're not saying what that activity is. Is it him actually saying in wording, I got rid of her? It's done. Who knows? This is all speculation. So again, that's a bomb right there. That's major evidence against the defense.
Yeah, that timeline there is evidence of phone transmission somewhere.
Yes. So Diane Harlow says it's sealed, obviously. Linda, the district attorney, Linda Stanley, was saying that she wanted it unsealed. Remember I was questioning you about that on the last live, why would she want it unsealed? But
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. The defense is going over the log activity of Barry Morphew's truck. Example, when the doors are open and closed. That's part of the newer onboard computers in the late model vehicles. It tells you the distance traveled, the speed, the direction, north, south, east, west, when the doors are open, when the hood is open, when the trunk is open, when the back door. A lot of data is in ECM models. I think it's called electronic computer monitoring or something like that. Don't hold me to it. Those of you who are, out there that know about a little bit more about it than I am, but it is an electronic monitoring device. It's in all the late model vehicles. The defense team has provided the state packets of their exhibits, which are 624 pages. The state, including Walker, is reviewing that packet. So the defense is now showing that it was likely Suzanne who touched the cable. Now they are talking about blue cable to see if Suzanne's DNA was on the cable. What about the power cable? DNA mixture of two, likely Suzanne and an unknown male individual. They're talking about a cable that goes to the DVR for the security system. And we'll hear that right now. Nielsen, which is Barry Morphew's defense attorney, says Barry never touched the missing cables from the DDR, and that should have been worded DVR. Law enforcement took swabs of the cords. DNA from Barry, Mallory, and Macy, those are his two daughters, were excluded. She is now showing Walker discovery of DNA report of the DVR cables, gray S cables. Interesting. That's a lot of detail, and it's not showing conclusive that Barry Morphews. It just said a male DNA. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying it was inconclusive, probably their testing of that DNA. It couldn't spot on say it was Barry's. Maybe it was the technician that installed that camera system. You know, a lot of my, like I have a DVR. The last time I went back to that back DVR and touched it was when the guys put it in, honestly.
Yeah. Why would
then
they? You know?
Right. And then I had it replaced because these DVR never last long. It blew out and I had to get a new one. I called the guys back. They came, they unscrewed it, and they put it back in. So again, everybody in the chat, thank you for hanging out. We will be having a Q&A for a few minutes at the end of this. I'm getting close to wrapping it up. Lauren says 9 hours ago, now speaking about the surveillance cameras on the Morphew property, they were installed by previous owners. The defense is referring to the 97 pages in the arrest affidavit. They are speaking about missing cords that law enforcement found. A hit was made on the DNA with someone with 3 sexual assaults, but Nielsen didn't elaborate on who that individual was or why she brought this up in court. Joe, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, she's saying there was a hit on the DNA of someone with 3 sexual assaults. A hit means that there's somebody in the system. They have identified somebody that is associated with this DNA. The person that did hit has 3 sexual assaults. I think that's again going to, the abduction thing, or perhaps, they're going to allege, since she was having an affair with one person, that maybe they'll try to raise doubt about maybe another person, or a jealous lover, or somebody,
right.
That nature. I mean, it's certainly something that's appropriate to bring up. I don't think it was inappropriate to do so.
Right.
It's significant.
It's the defense job. It's significant, obviously. Now speaking about Suzanne's Range Rover, this is the defense. DNA was found on the glove box and sent for testing. The DNA was from an unknown man. It was not Barry Morphew. It was not Barry Morphew's DNA. Listen, cars get serviced at service stations at probably the Range Rover dealer. They probably sent it to a Range Rover dealership or the local guy, and they look for wheel locks in the glove box. They look for, owner's manual to look at stuff. So this could be, the unknown man could be a person who serviced the car. It could be that simple.
It could even be Liebler. I mean, unless he has a record, he wouldn't pop up in the system.
Yeah, but it was alleged that she went to see him in Indiana. I don't think she drove the car. I think she took the plane over there. I'm not certain, but you never know. Walker is being cross-examined now by DA Stanley. She is asking about Morphew's guns. He had a safe in the garage, and not all of the guns were inside, like Barry said. So he claimed that all his guns were inside the garage in a safe. And then Stanley's saying a gun was found in the closet near the garage door, a shotgun up against the wall in the garage. And that might be the very shotgun that he had strung over his shoulder when Andy Mormon went over there to search for his baby sister. So there was reports that Barry was seen walking out on the property with a shotgun. And there's a shotgun up against the wall in the garage. Who knows? We don't know when they recovered this. They're not talking about dates and times. So I don't know.
You really don't know. People that
want
to lash out, and maybe he got threats, or
Right. Let me say quickly hello to everybody in the chat. Jen Lowe is here. Dawn Marie, Becky, Facebook, Black Rose, Stace on the case, retired Sergeant Melinda. Great to see you. Lieutenant Pete Pranzo. Hello, Pete and Richella. You're up late. I know Sergeant Bill Cannon has his fuzzy slippers on and his smoking jacket, and he's probably ready for bed. Let's do a roll call. Let me know where you're watching, city, state, and country. I want to see if there's anybody from outside the United States here. Let's say hello to the folks who are patiently listening to us go through the day's events of the preliminary hearing for Barry Morphew. Let's see who's here. Yeah, Haunted Mage, it is crazy stuff. I agree. Hello from Indiana. Lori Anderson is here. Hello from Sweden. Love from Kenya. Harlem Raiders is present for duty. PFD, as you will. Buddy is here, 2021. Hello, Aaron from Tennessee. Hello from upstate. Half Rudder from Florida, always a great friend. 007 from the UK. Thank you from Alabama. Good to see you. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Wow, look at this, Joe. Look at who's here. Everybody.
Dawn Marie, Brooklyn in the house. Look at that.
Australia, Victoria, Australia. Jules Cares. Channel members piling in. Paula Steen from Tennessee. Joe, take it. Take a couple of these.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love your community here. Arizona, California, Salon, Iowa. Hello from Texas. I just came back from Texas. Hi from Missouri. I'm waiting. Which is going to be the first state to secede on their own because they're tired of all the nonsense going on? Missouri is an incredible state. They were the first to sue China over this pandemic.
Wow. Unbelievable. Crime Ghost is from Australia. Welcome in. Thank you for joining. All right. Virginia Mama Ames is checking in. Good to see you, Mama. Thank you for joining. Hello, King of Queens. Crazy Diamond, upstate New York. Retired Sergeant Melinda saying hello to AK and the crew. Thank you for joining. Chris Cedar is here. Hello from New York. Minnesota. Excellent. Excellent. Hey, listen, we got a great roll call here. The great state of Texas is present for duty. Illinois. Everybody's checking in. Thank you for joining, guys. We're going to have a
Texas
Q&A.
will secede. Look at that. They can do it. They got the oil industry. They can self-sustain. That's interesting.
Joe, thank you for bringing politics into this broadcast.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm taking my feedback. I'm taking the feedback. No fee for you. It goes straight to Ange. Again, let's just say hello to everybody. Thank you for hanging in there with us. We're going to continue. There's another couple of tweets that we got to go over. There's some cross-examining. Joe, will you hang out for a little extra overtime? We're an hour.
Absolutely. That last message, the judge kind of restrained Nielsen from cross-examining. I saw that. Now the judge is like, get enough of this already. You know, this is not a trial.
Hey guys, can we keep this up like this? Can you see? I want you guys to see us. Can we do this? Can you guys see this? Okay. Let's see if I can make it a little bigger and move it over. Hold on. Now I could do this. All right, there we go. All right, so I think that's good. Put a 1 in the chat if that's good for you guys, and I want you guys to see us talking too. Let me know if it's good this way, or if you want full screen, I'll go back to full. Everybody can see? Okay, a lot of 1s. I don't see any 2s. Dawn Marie has to put 3 1s in there. It's always got to be a 1 1 1 with it. She's fresh. Okay,
yes,
cool.
She is.
All right, here we go, guys. All right. So what the judge declined cross-examination for Nielsen of Walker. I'll read this last one. Walker is being cross-examined now by DA Stanley. She's asking about Morphew's guns. The judge denied recross by Nielsen. She was visibly upset. Joe, why would it be upset?
Lauren is using the not accurate terms. When Walker,
go easy on Lauren. She's our friend.
I love Lauren, but I just want it to be clear because it's a little convoluted the way she wrote it there. When the prosecution calls Walker and he testifies, that's the direct examination. That's their witness, and they're doing a direct examination. Then the defense gets to cross-examine. And now, after the defense brings up material on their cross-examination, the prosecutor would have an opportunity to redirect because of something that was brought out on cross-examination that they didn't have the ability to comment on. And then it would follow and you'd go back and forth and back and forth. But a judge has the right to cut it off at a certain point and say enough.
All right.
And that's what happened here. Unfortunately, it was a ruling against the defense instead of the prosecutor.
I got you, counsel. Thank you for that. Thanks for the clarification. That's awesome. That's why Joe Murray is so important, man. He knows his stuff. So thank you for that, Joe. You really give it to us good, and we understand it when you tell us the right way. I'm trying to look at some. Okay, good. Josh sent a couple of messages. Thank you, Josh. All right, here we go. Second witness is on the stand. Kenneth Harris is a special agent with the FBI. He's worked with the FBI for 12 years. On the record, one recording that starts in the truck. Suzanne was arguing with Barry about money. Suzanne is also angry about what she can and cannot wear. This is according to Agent Harris. So Special Agent Kenneth Harris testifies to that. And then he says FBI Agent Harris is now being asked about the spy pen. One recording is of Barry Morphew driving, and the truck radio is heard speaking about news clips, forensics files like the criminal cases. So he was listening to news clips and forensics files like criminal cases. This is in February or March of 2020, a recording of someone going missing while bike riding. Interesting. So it's heard on the spy pen in February or March. This is months before Suzanne goes missing, of Barry listening to news clips, forensic files like criminal cases in February or March of 2020, a recording of someone going missing while bike riding. Did he get the idea from that? And that, I think, is what the prosecution is trying to put forward. What do you think, Joe?
I'm kind of curious. Was this spy pen like planted in the truck, or was she in the truck that it was able to?
Her and her friend suggested that she get it, and she got it because she suspected him of cheating. Now,
but it says one recording is of Barry Morphew driving, and the truck radio is heard speaking on news clips, forensic files, like the criminal cases. It sounds like it was planted in there so they can capture Barry speaking, and that raises issues of.
Maybe she was with him in the truck, and they were arguing, because the previous statement says one recording started in the truck. Suzanne was arguing with Barry about money.
Okay, clearly she's in there too. Okay.
Yeah, she was angry about what she can and cannot wear. This is according to Agent Harris. That was the text. That was the tweet right below it.
Yes,
so,
okay, that makes sense.
You know, she was in the truck and she had the spy pen probably in a pocketbook or something. I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong. You could be right.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Another recording, 5 hours long, of Suzanne speaking with Jeff Lieber. That's the alleged boyfriend that she was having an affair with. Trip to Michigan on business. A trip to Michigan on a business trip. This was an important, because FBI needed to find out who this Jeff guy was. He lives in Michigan. So remember I told you they grew up in Indiana, but he was currently living in Michigan.
Can I ask you about this Liebler guy? Jeff Liebler. Now, Jeff did not come forward, and it was the FBI or other law enforcement that actually reached out to him, right? And that was only after finding the pen.
Right. Yes.
Doesn't that raise a red flag to you? I mean, that there's this investigation going on. He's an intimate.
Absolutely. And either he was, we don't know if he's married as well. So maybe he was trying to keep the whole thing on the DL because Suzanne is married and maybe he was married. I don't know.
But I think his bigger concern, aside notwithstanding his marriage, is a potential homicide that he could be implicated in.
He asked them, am I a subject? He asked.
That's a fair question, because he would be, definitely on my radar, that he didn't come forward and we had to go find him. So he must have one heck of an alibi.
Here's Becky. Facebook. Let me put this on the screen so everybody could see it. Jeff was married with 6 kids. I don't know. I mean, that's somebody in the chat. We'll find out. I'll look into that. So thank you for that. All right, Sheila. The next tweet says Sheila was contacted. That's Suzanne's friend, by Mallory a few days after Suzanne went missing. When the investigator heard from Barry that the night before she went missing, they had a perfect night. Sheila told investigators that Suzanne and Barry hadn't had a perfect night in over a year and a half.
That's big red flag. I mean, Barry's putting forth this image of their wonderful marriage and everything was great, a perfect night. I think that's a big red flag.
Yeah. So let me go back to the thread because I screwed it up. All right. Okay. What did I do here? Of course, DutyRon screwed up something. Okay. I got it now. Whew. I thought I lost everything. All right, next tweet. We're almost at the end, Joe. There's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Sure.
Agent Harris is speaking about Suzanne's best friend, Sheila Oliver. She lives in Indiana and has been friends with Suzanne for over 30 years. They asked Sheila, what was the state of the Morphews' marriage like? Her response, Agent Harris said, according to Sheila Oliver, Barry would try to get the girls on his side and pit the girls against Suzanne. So Barry would take according to this witness, Sheila Oliver, would take her kids and try to pit them against the mom, probably telling her, your mom is cheating on me, or your mom is not a good, whatever he says.
Yeah.
This is damaging testimony against Barry Morphew. So let's see what his defense attorney says about this next. The text messages are on the screen. This is in court. September 1st. Need your prayers for peace today. It's been a tough day. This is Suzanne texting to her friend Sheila Oliver. Later on, Suzanne writes, relationships. He pulled Macy again and left. My heart hurts for her. Not a good thing.
I agree. This is horrible. You know, whenever I hear the parents involving the kids, and you know, we say amongst attorneys that matrimonial law, family law, are good people on their worst behavior.
Right.
Criminal law is generally bad people who are on their best behavior. You know, as an attorney dealing with them, and this is just proof of it. I mean, they could in fact be good people, but when you're tainting a child, that's parental alienation. You're trying to spoil the child's mind against their parent or other parent. It's horrendous.
Yeah, this is the worst of the worst. If we didn't think Barry Morphew was a piece of scum, and now you look at this, and this to me is just deplorable behavior. Agent Harris is now looking, and I'm being nice. Agent Harris is now looking over exhibits 3 to 13, which are screenshots of text messages between Sheila and Suzanne. That's going to reveal quite a bit of information. Lunch break. Damn it. All right. The good news is we get right to it. Back to text messages between Suzanne and her best friend, Sheila Oliver. Suzanne told Sheila, didn't know what would set Barry off. Agent Harris said Suzanne told Sheila that when Barry turned off his phone, that she had a suspicion of him having an affair. Lunch break is over. Harris is back on the stand. Text message from Suzanne. I'd live in a shack right now. I'm sure he won't make it easy. He has always wanted control. That's a huge damaging message. She is saying that she would live in a shack, compares to that beautiful sprawling home that they had in Salida, outside of Salida, actually. I'm sure he won't make it easy. He's always wanted control. Now, we heard about how Barry Morphew is a control freak, narcissist. Everything had to be his way or the highway. And this is her talking to her friend about it. This is damaging, to say the least. That's for sure.
Yeah.
The defense attorney is wondering what time these text messages were sent, and these are screenshots. So they're not able to tell what time they were. Because when you screenshot it, at least some phones, when you screenshot it, the phone is there, the time is there. But if somebody crops it, then you're not going to see it. So I would think that computer forensics could get the timestamps on those. But Who knows? Agent Harris mentioned that Sheila told him in 2018 Barry allegedly pushed Suzanne into a closet and put a gun to his head and asked her if this is what she wanted. So she misspelled his head. She said Agent Harris mentioned that Sheila told him in 2018 Barry allegedly pushed Suzanne into a closet and put a gun to her head and asked her, is this what she wanted? That's back in 2018. Wow. Mr. Defense Attorney, what do you say about
put
that?
a gun to, because maybe she did say that, put a gun to his head. Is this what you want? You want me to kill myself because you're driving me crazy? Is that the message he was trying to convey? I don't know.
I don't think so. I think he's strong-armed her. She's a little petite thing. Pushed her into a closet. Now she's going to take a gun and go, this is what you want? I don't know. Maybe. You might be right. I think it was the other way around, that this scumbag pushed her into the closet and put the gun up to her head. Agent Harris says Sheila and Suzanne spoke almost every day. I'm trying to type all of the text messages shown on the screen before they move on. I'll post some soon. All right. The screen isn't working now, showing the text messages. So they are reading the text messages between Suzanne and her best friend, Sheila. So their screen in the courtroom stopped working, and now they're just reading them out loud. According to Harris, when Suzanne told Sheila that she wanted to leave Barry, he would respond by saying, how would you pay for things like your medical bills for cancer? Oh, God.
That's horrible.
What a...
And she made that text, I would live in a shack. You know what I mean? Like, she's really depicting a terrible circumstance between them, that in her condition, she'd rather live in a shack than, continue living with him. That's really painting a bad picture. Especially, it's completely opposite what he's trying to portray, that everything is wonderful. I love my wife and that things are great. And that's just,
right.
That's horrible.
He brought in the cancer. She's fought cancer, Joe. She was in the middle of a battle. And he said, how would you pay for things like your medical bills for cancer? What scumbag does that? What a scumbag.
It's terrible.
Put a 1 in the chat if you think Barry's a scumbag. Oh, unbelievable. That is sick. Anyways, text text message. I feel bad. I don't want to cause him to have to do this. There's just become a point that the reality of what never been there is sovereign. And I've accepted what it is. He can't change the core person, makes me wonder what the young me was thinking. So she's questioning why she's with this guy. A lot of number ones coming in the chat. World-class scumbag. Thank you, Boxing MMA. Number one, Heather Coleman. Thank you. All right. So I don't know if she didn't type this right, but that was tough for me to read. Did I misread that, Joe?
No, that was difficult. I think there was some typos there.
Yeah. Thank you, Lauren, though. Thanks for the effort. He threw 70 times 7 at me, scripture reference, how many times they should forgive someone else. So he threw a scripture, 70 times 70 at me. 70 times 7, scripture reference. How many times they should forgive someone else. Always using scripture when it's convenient. This is another text to Sheila from Suzanne. So Suzanne sent that to her friend. Text message from Suzanne. It's Jekyll and Hyde again. He and Mal, that's the daughter, Mallory, were together last night. Probably switching it on when he talks with her. I don't know if she's talking about that pen or he's talking that he's switching on his Jekyll and Hyde. I think that's what she's referring to.
Probably Jekyll. Yeah.
She says, ugh, I feel like I'm crazy. I just had a conversation with him. Pretty much told him I can't be healthy and stay in this. So she was telling him that this is affecting her health.
Yeah,
they visited each other. Okay, so this is about the alleged boyfriend. They visited each other a total of 7 times in 6 different locations. One time was in Florida when Suzanne was visiting her father in 2019. I'm assuming that she's talking about this Jeff Lieber character. But I don't know. I don't know what this is. They visited each other a total of 7 times in 6 different locations. Once was in Florida. I'm assuming that that was her with the significant other. I don't know.
Mhm.
This is September of 2018. They became physical in September of this is him. They became physical in September of 2019 in New Orleans. Agent Harris said they didn't have sex on that trip, but fooled around in a hotel. That's a reference of Suzanne Morphew and her alleged boyfriend, Jeff. Now speaking about Suzanne's affair, Jeff Lieber and Suzanne reconnected after Suzanne reached out via message and said, "Howdy, stranger." Then they spoke mostly on the phone. Suzanne told Jeff that she couldn't get a divorce because of biblical reasons. She also told Jeff that she would ride mountain bikes in the afternoon. He also looked up trails that she should try. According
Hold
to
on
Harris,
a second. Can I ask you about that?
Okay.
Where she says she couldn't get a divorce because of biblical reasons. What do you think she was trying to say there? Because I mean, she's having an affair. I don't see how that is biblically, permissible. What
Right.
would be the difference with getting a divorce than having an affair?
I mean, listen, we can argue this up and down. Because of his behaviors and the way he's Jekyll and hiding her, she just can't stand it. But she might have strong Christian beliefs or Catholic beliefs. I don't know what her religion was, but maybe she's saying, I don't believe in divorce.
But that's my point. If she doesn't believe in divorce, but
she was having an affair because her back was perhaps put against the wall by his odd behaviors. Some women are good to a point where you push them to where they have to just make a choice. I'm not defending her, but I'm just painting this picture of this guy seems to be unbearable and totally controlling every move that she made. And this is just my opinion. You know what I mean? He
Sure.
seemed like an abuser. He seemed like somebody who was, a big, muscular, strapping guy that, really pushed her around quite a bit. And I think he forced her card. I mean, I'm not saying it's right. Adultery is adultery, and there's no niceness about that. But at the end of the day, I think that if he was treating her the way a woman should be treated, she wouldn't have turned to this Lieber guy. She turned to him because she was at her wit's end. And that probably is a lot, because everybody and their mother has said that Suzanne Morphew was one of the sweetest, kindest persons in the world. So on all accounts, and I talked to some of her friends from high school. They said that she would give you the shirt off her back. So again, I mean, I'm not defending her, and I get what you're saying. It's contradictory. She's talking about biblical stuff and having an affair. Yeah, one doesn't go with the other, but I stick with her all the way because she doesn't even have a voice here. She's presumed dead. According to Harris in text messaging, Suzanne wanted to marry. She wanted to be married to Jeff Lieber. Lieber got rid of his LinkedIn account. He learned about Suzanne's disappearance on May 12th when someone sent him a link. So he mysteriously got rid of his LinkedIn account. I don't know. Somebody said in the chat that he scrubbed all of his social media. I don't know if he did that.
Red flag.
Major. I don't, again, Barry stands charged with all the charges. He doesn't stand charged with it. We may hear more about that would undo those red flags. But right now, yes, red flag. I put it in the red flag. Week of May 5th to the 10th is where Suzanne and Barry Morphew were alone. Suzanne dropped Macy off in Gunnison with her sister Mallory for the road trip. Harris said that Barry would tell Suzanne, "Don't worry, one day you'll find your Fred." The agent explained that Fred is her stepfather, Suzanne's mom's second husband. And this Fred could be Tommy's dad, Tommy Owen, the doctor. Remember? She said she had her, remember Tommy said his dad married Suzanne's mom and was her second husband. So this Fred could be a reference to Tom's dad. I'm going to ask Tommy about that.
Yeah.
I think that reference was, "Don't worry, and Fred was a doctor. So maybe that's one of his little digs at Suzanne. One day you'll find your Fred, meaning you'll find your doctor,
Right.
somebody who will buy you everything you want. And
Yeah.
that's, again, that's another scumbag move right there.
Yeah. It's dirty pool.
Yeah. Ugh, it's gross. Hour and 34 minutes. Please go easy with the billing on me. And go easy on the billing. Eton, who is the second attorney representing the defense, representing Barry Morphew, Eton is asking if Harris is doing interpretations of the text messages. So she's asking him, are you doing interpretations, or is this in fact what they're saying? He said Sheila was providing her interpretations. The phone records were collected too, as well as multiple interviews. What do you make of that?
Well, I thought they were doing like screenshots of these text messages, in which case it would be literal. But
Right.
now it seems like, that the FBI agent is testifying, giving like a sum and substance of it.
Right. Barry Morphew's attorney, Iris Eton, is now cross-examining the special agent with the FBI. Sheila Oliver was a college roommate of Suzanne's, that they were the best of friends. However, she did not know about Jeff Lieber. She never mentioned this male friend to anyone. It was hard for them to believe that Suzanne would have an affair. This affair was not a one-night stand. It was 2 years long and in other states. This is the defense talking. Remember, folks, this is the defense talking. Eton says Harris said it was from September 2018 to May 9th of 2020, a year and a half. She kept a lot of secrets. Her sister also said that Suzanne is very good with keeping secrets, Eton said. Harris replied, I don't recall that. Replying to Lauren Shaw, Sheila wanted to help out with an investigation as well as Holly. And that was a reply. Harris said Barry told investigators that he did not know about an extramarital affair. I call bullshit on that. I think he knew. Agent Harris said that Holly Wilson, friend of Suzanne's, would record conversations with Barry. Investigators played the audio of Suzanne and Jeff from the spy pen to try to see if they knew who this man was. They had heard the combo, but didn't know the depth of the relationship. Suzanne told Sheila that she wanted a spy pen in January. She wanted to catch some conversations and put it in Barry's truck. So there you go, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
You said she might have planted that in the truck, and here it is. She's talking about that.
Yeah.
Again, the way that sequence went, it made us believe that she was in the car and he was telling her to what not to wear, and being nasty.
Mm-hmm.
Afternoon break until 3:10. You're familiar with this. Oh, we're going to take a recess. A defense attorney's nightmare, right? Oh God.
Yeah.
Suzanne told Sheila that he would be concerned with Barry's reaction if Sheila sent a spy pen to her house. So she just said, wait until the Florida trip to give it to me. Suzanne didn't tell Sheila that she used it, according to Harris. Agent Harris is back on the stand. An interview with Jeff Lieber on December 18th of 2020, and 3 pages of conversation from the LinkedIn account, talking again about the spy pen. And then here it is. You are the sweet. Okay, there's a reply telling Lauren she's the sweetest thing I've ever known. This actually was a comment. You are the sweetest thing I've ever known, Suzanne said to Lieber, heard on the recordings. Cannot live my life without you in it. This is Suzanne to Lieber. Lieber allegedly left a message to Suzanne saying, baby, you are a sweetheart. This boy craves you and everything about you. Woo. I don't know what to say about that. That speaks for itself.
Yep.
Maybe we are in the clear for Valentine's Day. Barry won't be around then, Suzanne was heard on the recording. Again, this doesn't take away that she was murdered, allegedly. So just because we're hearing this, it doesn't take away that this woman was murdered allegedly by her husband.
In my opinion, I think, Ron, this is creating the motive. A jealous, angry person like Barry
agree.
could be portrayed. This
Yes.
is a guy that doesn't like to be embarrassed. He's
Yes.
putting up all his public images. He wants to control that. And now this coming out, I'm sure that it did play a factor in what happened.
Soul for Music 79, good to see you. She says it shows motive, in my opinion. Your opinion's very good, because we have a criminal defense attorney here and is saying that this definitely is creating motive for Barry to kill his wife. You find out this stuff, you see and hear this, it puts a raging lunatic into possibly a homicidal lunatic.
Right.
Spy pen. It looks like a black pen that can be plugged in and downloaded to the audio. It activates when its voices are heard, so it's voice activated. It only comes on when it hears voice. There were 11 deleted files and 11 saved files. I wonder what those 11 deleted files were. Oh my. I don't have the phone anymore. It was a company phone and has been replaced. Technical problems. Can't really hear the recording. The defense attorney Etan plans to play some of the audio of Jeff Lieber himself from the interview with investigators. Suzanne's secret spy pen led investigators to Suzanne's secret affair, Etan, the defense attorney says. Harris said Lieber's phone was pinged off of Michigan Tours on May 10th. So Lieber's phone was pinged off Michigan Tours. I don't know if that means Michigan Shores or Michigan Tours on May 10th. So it shows,
I think it probably means Michigan Towers.
Okay, yeah, Towers. There you go. I wasn't thinking straight. You're right, Joe. Michigan Towers show that he wasn't even in the state of Colorado on May 10th.
Michigan Towers means his phone was in Michigan.
Okay. Yeah, he could have been anywhere. Correct.
A guy with a family and a wife who's trying to cover his tracks, who knows what lengths he's gone to. So don't be too conclusive with that.
Counsel, I agree. Sustained. Okay, Suzanne had created a LinkedIn account in August of 2018 and logged into the account frequently until she went missing on May 10th. So she had frequent account logins from 2018 to May 10th of 2020. It stopped after that date, which is showing that whatever happened to her, she met her demise on or about that date. She had used her dad's phone to order pizza and found the message from Suzanne. She had used her dad's phone to order pizza and found messages from Suzanne. I don't know if this is who they're talking about. One of Lieber's daughters found out about him speaking with Suzanne and told her older brothers and uncle. Suzanne and Lieber paused their relationship for a while, but then got back to communicating on Christmas of 2019.
So that makes sense of the other entry that it was one of his daughters that discovered it.
Yeah, one of Lieber's daughters discovered the dad's phone when she went to order pizza.
I don't know how ordering pizza gets you to text messages, though.
Yeah, well, kids are nosy. My son picks up my phone once in a while and looks through it. He doesn't find anything. But again, it is what it is. Investigators found some journals, but not all journals, according to Harris. Suzanne didn't write about the affair in any kind of journal. So Suzanne had planned a trip to New Orleans in February and asked if Lieber would like to meet her there. Wow. She was worried, what if Barry looks up records? He had no idea that we had talked to each other. This is the defense attorney for Barry added from the report. Agent Harris is looking through reports of the conversations with Lieber that investigators had. Lieber mentioned that Suzanne had told him that Barry had seen some messages and that they needed to switch communication apps. Defense attorney Etan says she never heard it on the recordings. So Suzanne was being evasive and she was trying to not be detected. Again, this doesn't make her a criminal. This doesn't make her deserve being killed. Let me just be very clear about that. All of this is not the greatest of behaviors, but I feel that she was pushed into this because of her husband treating her like a subhuman and being a Jekyll and Hyde as she spoke. No woman and no man deserves to be treated like that. So if you treat a human being negatively for a long period of time, they are going to look for love and compassion from somebody from another area. It's just a fact. I'm not stating something that's new. If you treat your significant other the way Barry Morphew treated his wife, you're going to look for love somewhere else. Anyways, investigators never found Suzanne Morphew's phone or the charger. She leaves plugged in next to her bed. So investigators had what was backed up on the cloud. Thank God for the cloud, as well as phone records from the phone company. Eton asked if Suzanne had a SIM card. Harris said no. iPhones don't have SIM cards because everything goes back onto the cloud. Let me just get this super chat. Half Rudder sends in a $5 super chat. So it seems Jeff and Suzanne were old friends who found love. That would make a control nut crazy, but I think it's more about the money. You may be right, Half Rudder. I always appreciate your comments and everybody else's comments.
Yeah, that's a great comment. And I think both of them are big factors, when you're talking about a divorce and the house, and
right.
Certainly the way she's talking about how he's trying to sway the kids, because generally courts don't like to move kids. So the kids will stay in the house. It's whether or not mom or dad gets custody, and whoever gets, residential custody would stay in the residence. So I can see both of those things. That was a good comment.
Right. Absolutely. Great comment. Thank you, Half Rudder. Thanks for the support. And thank you to everybody for supporting and watching the replay and sharing. I greatly appreciate you guys. According to the defense attorney, Lieber and Suzanne spoke 26 times between January 4th through the 11th of 2019. Harris is looking at the phone records to confirm. He said it was 19, not 26. So it's considerably less, but he might just need readers, that meaning glasses.
Well, you know what I was going to suggest with part of this? They did make an issue of her LinkedIn account, and I don't believe, maybe they connected through LinkedIn and they were talking, that says that she even logged in up until the 10th. So perhaps that is what they're factoring in with communications, not just phone.
I'm asking Tommy what his dad's first name was. I'm going to ask Fred, right? Is that what he said? Fred, right?
Fred, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just texting Tommy right now because he sent me a text. Okay. On November 26, 2018, see, they're all over. This is not chronological, and I guess this is who decides the way this goes, Joe? Is it the defense or the prosecution?
This is a prosecution witness, so the prosecutor lays out their direct examination, but it apparently is now the cross-examination, so they could jump around. They don't have to go chronologically through the same way that the prosecutor did.
Gotcha. All right. I was just looking to see if he responded, but he didn't. Not yet. He's in California, so he may respond. All right,
by the way, it's a good tactic what they're doing, because I don't like that. I believe, and it's true, especially as a police officer, when we go and meet with a prosecutor before we're put on the stand, it's kind of scripted. They walk you through it. I'm going to ask you this. I'm going to ask you that. And you go through there. On cross-examination, I try to talk about things that are really irrelevant just to distract them from the script and even go out of order, because it's harder to maintain a lie or a mistruth when you go out of order like that. If they've got this memorized by a script of sequence of events, it's really throws them through a loop when you take things out of order like that. So not saying anyone's lying or anything, just this is a tactic that defense attorneys use.
Okay, I gotcha. On November 26th, 2018, there were 7 calls between Suzanne and Jeff Lieber. That totaled 4 hours. 7 calls, 4 hours. The next day, she texted Sheila saying she had a tough talk with Barry Morphew, but she didn't mention the new relationship with Lieber. According to Harris, it was Lieber that got Suzanne into mountain biking as well as drinking IPA. They talked like lovers together, according to Special Agent Harris. Shit. Look at what I went and did. All right. What the fuck did I do here? All right. I think I got it back. All right. Here we go. I always manage to recover as an old man.
Yes, you do.
I get like, oh man, I'm cursing here. I'm saying the F word. All right. She told Lieber that they needed to be husband and wife. Lieber asked, "Marry me?" ? Harris said that Suzanne and Lieber were calling each other old soulmates and were talking like lovers. This is the special agent. The defense attorney asked if they had sent nude pictures to one another, and Harris said yes.
Ouch. That's biblical.
Yikes. What do you guys think in the chat? Ouch. But you know what? I mean, a lot of people who have relationships or extramarital affairs send nudes to each other. They're two adults. These aren't underage kids. So, okay, no comment, biblical, laughing my ass off. Amen. Oh my God. Ouch. What do you make of the girl standing by their father and not defending the mother? The father, as she talked about here, that's a good question. Let me get that up. Hold on. That was from Rose. So Rose says, DutyRon, what do you make of the girls standing by their father and not defending their mother? We heard, if you're coming in late, we heard in this testimony at the prelim that Suzanne talked about Barry pitting the girls against him dating back to 2018. So this is long-term abuse, mentally and perhaps physically, over a 2+ year period or longer. She only reached out to this Lieber in 2018, I believe. Who knows? They were together 25 years. So was this 10 years worth of mental and physical abuse? We don't know. We don't know. Let me get that off. I mean, and that's just me talking out loud. But thank you for that question. Okay, I don't want to mess this up. All right, Suzanne met with Lieber in February 2019 in New Orleans, April 2019 in Indiana, July 2019 in Michigan, and October 2019 in Dallas. February 2020 in Florida. Lieber was planning a trip to Colorado in March of 2020, but then COVID-19 hit. Wow. So there was a lot of activity of seeing each other in 2019, quite a few times. Text message from Suzanne to Sheila. I'd live in a shack right now. I'm sure he won't make it easy. He always wanted control. The state objects to the relevance, Jesus, and the foundation of this information. The judge says, we don't know the when, but we know the what about Ecuador. Research about the language school. I don't know what this is. I'm confused by that. December 27th, 2019. My apologies. Okay. I don't know. Can you make anything out of this statement?
Yeah, there's a question missing there that we don't. I mean, there was something raised and that they apparently objected to it. What's the relevance?
Okay, here it is. So it's out of order. Lieber had told Suzanne allegedly that Ecuador is a cheap place to live with good health care. So they were thinking of talking about that. That's how scared they were of Barry Morphew, that both of them were talking about fleeing to Ecuador. So on December 9th, 2019, Suzanne's iCloud account discovered that she was researching language schools in Ecuador. So that's what this means. This comes next. The state objected to that conversation, to the relevance and the foundation of this information.
Right.
I'd like to hear your why are they objecting to that? The defense.
Yeah, because it really has. I'm talking about, this affair and going off somewhere has nothing to do with whether or not, don't forget the limited purpose while we're here is to establish probable cause of those charges. And bringing that up, I don't see how it negates probable cause in any way, unless they're trying to suggest, that I can't even think of anything. I was going to say some other lover or jealous thing finding out she's going away. I don't know. I really don't know. It's a stretch at this point to even go there during this preliminary hearing.
All right. Lieber didn't believe that Barry Morphew knew about him. If he knew about me, he would have came after me. I just don't think he knew that Suzanne and I were together. So Lieber.
By the way, I just want to bring out too. I know we talked about the preliminary hearing is a little different because it allows hearsay. You know, I think Harris is still on the stand, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
he's relating parts of the conversations he had with Liebler. That's hearsay, and it is admissible. But Liebler would have to come into court and testify at a trial. He couldn't do that at a trial.
Right. I'm sure he'll get subpoenaed and he'll be in. He'll be definitely in on that trial. Again, Lieber didn't believe that Barry Morphew knew about him. This is just showing and proving that they were both scared of Barry Morphew. So there we go. Is Joe a defense attorney? Is defense trying for dismissal of first-degree murder for Joe? That's a question for you for Forever Young. Is defense trying to get a dismissal of the first-degree murder? I mean, that
ultimately, that's the purpose of a preliminary hearing. You want to test the evidence. If they don't establish probable cause of that first-degree murder, the judge will dismiss it.
Look at Lauren; she's adorable. That's her and her partner who are embedded at the courthouse. So, so as we wait in line for dinner, I want to say thank you for everyone's support and kind words. I can't imagine the emotions of the families of the Morphews. Yes, keep the Morphews and the Mormons in your prayer, as well as the Liebers. There's the 6 children allegedly that he has. They've been going through pretty tumultuous times, and this is pretty difficult to hear this stuff. I'll have another recap tonight at 9 p.m. Fox 21 News. Let's see if there's anything there. I don't think so. But that concludes all of the conversation of day one. So thank you to Lauren. This is her, the blonde on the left, and her partner. So thank you for that.
Yeah, that was excellent. It gave us so much information. This first day was, interesting. The testimony that was elicited by both sides. We don't really see the clear path yet, but I'm sure it'll come. And the judge, I think, is going to rein them in. They're not going to just conduct a 2-week trial here. So we'll get to where we have to go soon enough.
Yeah, agreed, Joe. Let's just play. This is the recap of the preliminary hearing in Chaffee County. So I'm going to play that. Retired Sergeant Melinda, thank you for the $50 super chat. She says, in my opinion, they're getting SM's fare out first. Timeline also, because when they get to Barry Morphew, and it's going to be crazy, mind-blowing, and SM's affair may not look so bad. Setting the stage, question mark. This is how she says it. What y'all think? What do y'all think? That's Sergeant Melinda. I love her. She's adorable.
She's great.
She's
great. Yeah, it could be she's entirely, possibly right. We don't yet know what their strategy is. And again, that's kind of what opening statements are for. You kind of lay out the roadmap, you create the lens where you want the fact finder to look at this evidence that you're going to lay out. So not having that is somewhat of a disadvantage for us. But again, the judge is like, no, we have to get through this. I don't need your window dressing. Just give me your evidence.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Joe. Let's listen to what they have to say.
Suzanne Morphew, a missing Chaffee County wife and mother of 2.
Suzanne's husband, Barry Morphew, is charged with her murder. Today, he appeared in court for day 1 in his preliminary hearing.
Fox 21's Lauren Sharp has been inside the courtroom all day and joins us live now.
And a big bombshell dropped about Suzanne having an affair. Isn't that right, Lauren?
Yeah, Suzanne went to high school in Indiana with Jeff Liebler. They reconnected in Colorado, when she moved to Colorado, investigators uncovered hours of audio from a spy pen. A line to get into the Chaffee County courthouse began to form around 5 a.m. Suzanne's lover, not a witness today. We learned Jeff Liebler did not alert authorities to his 1.5-year relationship with Suzanne, but he has been cooperating with her investigation since they contacted him in November. A lead investigator also said they never found blood during their search, however, clarified that doesn't prove she wasn't murdered. Text messages between Suzanne and her best friend Sheila Oliver shown in court. Suzanne seen expressing concerns about her
Those are the defense attorneys going into the courthouse. I'll play that back.
Relationship with her husband, writing court. Suzanne's friend Sheila Oliver shown in court. Suzanne seen expressing concerns about her relationship with her husband, writing, "He looks for any reason to run. It can be small and he blows up and takes off. I believe there's still another. I can't win with him. He's too good at the manipulation. I feel stuck. I can't let my health decline again." That's a reference to Suzanne's previous battle with cancer. She was in remission at the time of her disappearance. Suzanne also told Oliver she thought Barry tried to pit their daughters against her. In a text message, she wrote, "She knows more than she should. My heart is aching for what he did today. She and I had a peaceful, fun week. He came in and wrecked it and left, making her feel bad for him. It's sick." Suzanne's body has not been found, and the trial has been a difficult process for the couple's daughters. And many times they were seen crying, visibly upset in the courtroom today. Tonight at 6:30, I'll talk more about the days following Suzanne's missing report, as well as body-worn camera video. Reporting live outside the Chaffee County Courthouse, Lauren Scharf for Fox 21 News.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you so much for that. Joe, let's take a couple of questions. I know we already did, but then we'll wrap it up. It's 2 hours. I guess I got to take a pension loan to do this.
Ron, I got to tell you, thank you for having me on. I love this. I love your community, and I'm just fascinated by this. And as a criminal defense attorney, I love seeing what other attorneys are doing and how the proceedings are going. So I really do appreciate this, and I'm happy to come back.
Thank you so much, Joe. You are a valuable asset to any community, police off the cuff, myself. I mean, your expertise in the criminal defense field, and you're also a police officer, retired NYPD, the best of the best. So thank you for everything that you do here. Let's look at some of the chat here. Hold on a second. Have you heard from Tyson at all, Ron? Another YouTuber said Dusty hadn't heard from him for a few days. They may have him testify. I don't know. I don't know anything about that, Jane, but thank you. Let's look for some questions about the preliminary hearing. Let's keep it to the preliminary hearing. If anybody has any questions, I'm going to be looking at the chat. And Joe Murray has got an eagle eye. Not only is he the silver fox, he has got eagle eyes. Joe Murray can see your messages. So yes, Forever Young says, Joe Murray, come back. And Granny says, thank you, guys. Thank you, Granny Sue. And
I love the comments. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I love the comments. When I'm on Police Off the Cuff, I just, Ange gets so mad at me. Like, she'll throw something at me. When I'm on there, she's like, okay, I'm going to lose him for 3 days now because he'll be answering comments. I'm just fascinated. You know, as a criminal defense attorney, hearing the perspective of everyone in this community, you're potential jurors to me. I love to hear I read your comments, but hear the thought process of how you're processing this information. It's invaluable to me, you know, to see this and interact with the community. So I love it.
Yeah. I mean, and then the community loves you right back. JA says, why do y'all think that her and the guy's combo was on the pen? She wasn't recording it herself, surely.
It's voice activated. She, you know, this is a new technology for her. She probably didn't realize it, you know, that it's voice activated and it was on and she was recording it.
Yeah, very good. And
don't forget, there were 11 deleted messages. So maybe she did realize that at a certain point and went back and deleted some.
Let's not all forget to not go over to jmurraylaw.com. That's Joe Murray's website. Go on over, and if you need any type of help when it comes to criminal defense or any type of counsel, go over and hit him up, jmurray/law.com. Let's see. I think we have and I'll link his website down below. And if you go to DutyRon.com, it's hyperlinked. You could see all of Joe's stuff on my website as well.
And Ange is in charge of that website, and I think she did an amazing job. So if you happen to look at it and like it, let me know. And if you think I should add or subtract something, let me know. I would appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. Feedback is always important in this stuff. Andy Crayon sends a $5 super chat in, and she says, some feel like the judge is biased for Barry. Being a small town USA, if he shows favoritism, can the prosecution request a different judge or locality? That's for you, Joe.
You know, that's an interesting question. I noticed, I think it was the Daybell case where there's an actual statutory right that at one point in time, you're allowed to request a new judge. And they did it in that Daybell case, and a new judge was assigned. I don't know Colorado law if they are or not, but that's an interesting question. I want to see that. I really loved it when I read that in the Daybell case, that they were allowed, the defense could, for no reason at all, choose to ask for another judge to step in. I think that's brilliant. That's wonderful, because we all know that certain judges, you get the pick of the litter. But if you get that one option to try to get a second person, I think it's a little more fair for the defense, to have more input into the proceedings.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and it's not ruled out that they wouldn't make a suggestion of that. But, again, it's up to the judge to grant that, and the judge can say denied. Sure. Buzz off, basically. Alley Cat, thank you for being in here. I agree with Andy Crayons. The judge definitely seems biased. We shall see when the trial commences. This is
I just want to bring something up, and this may be why you think he appears biased. In a preliminary hearing like this, a judge is supposed to afford the prosecution every reasonable inference about their case. They're supposed to really look at it in a light most favorable to the prosecution. So, it's hard to judge at this juncture in this particular proceeding whether or not the judge is biased. Bias would be when you're just so unfair. Like there was that one issue where the prosecutor was allowed to redirect a particular witness but denied the recross examination. That would be something that you can look at as, maybe that's not fair. You're giving the prosecutor the last word. The defense on cross-examination is supposed to have the last word. So, yeah, I mean, there are things like that. But for this proceeding, generally, they're supposed to give all favorable inferences to the evidence presented by the prosecutor.
Yeah, I mean, that's great insight. And, people don't understand the inner workings of courtrooms, and it varies from state to state, county to county, jurisdiction to jurisdiction. But yeah, Joey, I mean, you bring up some great points there.
And don't forget, this is not guilt or innocence. They're really not saying, okay, the finding of guilty after this. That's why people, I think, get lost in that. This is probable cause. Have they made out a prima facie case here establishing probable cause of these charges?
And this is in lieu of a grand jury indictment. Because when someone gets a summary arrest, like what happened to Barry, the next step is either a grand jury indictment or this hearing. And like you said, there's a choice to do it two different ways. And you like this choice because it gives the prosecution and the defense to lay it all out.
Yeah.
It's almost a mini trial before the trial.
Yeah. And, sometimes the prosecutor could do a direct presentment before even arresting him. They could present their evidence to a grand jury, get an indictment, and arrest on the indictment. So it's really the prosecutor's choice and, in the way they want to proceed. But I think it's, this is a fair balance for the defense to now take a peek and see if they've made out their prima facie case.
Right. And let me just say, Lieutenant Pete Pranzo is up way past his bedtime. It's 11:45, and he's out there putting in comments that you are top shelf.
He is the best. He is the best.
I love you, LT. Yeah, LT. And he is run by the best woman in the business. Richella Pranzo is 52 years of marriage. These guys are unbelievable. I saw him out in Suffolk County on the beach the other day, and I just love it. I love seeing those guys.
A legend in the 3-2. I got there after, but I wish he was there when I got there. Let me just leave it at that.
Let me see if Josh is available because he's still backstage. I want to bring Josh on so everybody could say hello and thank him. He's instrumental in DutyRon.com and all of the banners and all the stuff that you see here. Josh, are you still with us, my brother? He might have went to sleep. Josh might have went to sleep.
He might be muted.
Testing.
All right, guys. So here's the producer, Josh, behind the scenes. I want everybody in the chat to give a big thank you to Josh out in California. He works tirelessly for Police Off the Cuff and for my channel. So a big thank you to Josh for everything that he does. If you guys could put in the chat, thank you, Josh, maybe some thumbs up, some hearts, whatever you want to put. But Josh works tirelessly on the thumbnails, working with sound and lighting. And man, I can't say enough about Josh. I'm so happy that we met through Periscope, which is the Twitter app. He's a diamond in the rough. Honestly, he's
dynamite. He's always checking me and making sure our sound is good. I just love that. Josh, I wanted to ask you, I heard a rumor that you're now potentially working with the SBA.
Yes, indeed.
I love it.
New
I
video
love it.
getting released tomorrow, and a lot more coming soon. So,
Oh, that's great.
So I want to
check out some YouTube channels.
I want to take credit on this because I put Josh onto Bill, Sergeant Cannon, from Police Off the Cuff. And then Bill said, do you think Josh would want to work for the SBA? I told Josh about it, and Josh was like, hell yeah, I'll do it.
Oh,
so
fantastic.
It was a combined effort between me, Billy, and working with the SBA. So the SBA is the Sergeants Benevolent Association. So Josh is now working for the police union, the largest police department in the United States, the New York City SBA. So congratulations, Josh, on that promotion. I hope it doesn't take you away from us, because if it does, I'll crush the whole thing.
Oh, no.
We need you, though. That is such an important podcast with Ed Mullins.
No, we're building
really
new.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, this is going to be it's SBA's YouTube is going to be amazing. So check it out, guys. We have a lot of great content planned, some tricky stuff, some political stuff, some a lot of stuff.
Excellent.
So look forward to it. But also check out the new merch that is coming very soon to DutyRon.com.
Yeah, we're working behind the scenes. There's going to be some good crime time with DutyRon mugs. It's going to be all rebranded and a lot of good stuff coming down the pike. Listen, I want to say as we close, again, thank you to everyone for being here in the chat. Thank you for being civil, and leave me messages down below in the comment section. If you haven't already done that, leave a comment, give it a thumbs up, share it out. Follow me on all things Duty, social media, all one word, DutyRon, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Go over to my website, DutyRon.com, and check out all of the links to cyberbullying, to cyber crimes, to domestic violence, to how to keep yourself safe while on the internet. There's a chock full of information on DutyRon.com, and I encourage you guys to subscribe if you're not yet subscribed to this channel. I appreciate all of the support from everybody. Joe, thank you so much for taking 2 hours out of your time on a Monday night. I know you got court in the morning and you got a lot of things going on, so I'm very appreciative of you taking the time out. Leave us comments. Leave Joe a comment. Leave Josh a comment. Leave myself a comment.
And join Discord.
Yeah, and
sure if you want to chat. If you want to chat outside of the live streams, please join Discord. It's a chat program. We all go there. There's different rooms, from food to drinks to general chat to crime chat. So we got you.
It's a great place. Thank you for reminding me of that. Josh created that Discord group. He works tirelessly in there. So go on there. We'll continue the conversation. As I like to end all of these, God bless the world. God bless the United States of America. And God bless each and every one of us here in the chat. All victims of crime across the globe and their families. Let's keep Suzanne Morphew's family, the Mormons, Suzanne's brother, stepbrother Tommy, the girls, and everybody that's involved, the Lieber family. Everyone is going through this. So let's give them our love and support. Thank you to the replay viewers and all the live chatters. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you tomorrow on the next one. Good night from New York City. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Josh.
Good night. Thank you.